It's high noon.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Foul Play. You're listening to episode 42 of Fantasy Overwatch League Play. My name is HeebieJeebie. I'm joined here by A. Smith and Teoyama. How are the two of you?
I feel like I'm in a repetitive loop of life. It's
Nah,
amazing.
that doesn't exist. You're lying to yourself.
You know what? I grinded like all 3 seasons of Stranger Things this last week, and it has been so fun.
Had you not seen season 1 and 2 before?
I have not seen any
Wow.
of it, and then I had a couple of friends who were like, "Hey, you should dig this," and I was like, "All right," and then boom, I
And
dove into the hole.
dug
It's
it.
amazing.
yeah, it's incredible. I love that show
Super
so
fun.
much.
Yeah. On the other side of things, I've been rewatching Party Down, and I love that show so much.
Okay,
It's like some comedy you guys got to check out.
I will.
Okay. What's
Yeah.
it on? What streaming
It's-
service?
I don't know.
Teoyama
I've just
steals his videos.
Yeah,
Convicted.
I've just been Googling it.
This podcast
Pull it on
will be
YouTube, like.
Yeah.
this podcast will be used in court when Teoyama is arrested by the NSA.
Hey, no, all I said is I don't know. Hey,
Yeah,
alright.
that's incriminating enough,
Fair
and we know it. I have been watching Overwatch League, you flippin' idiots. I have been watching the
is that
source
what we're doing?
material for our podcast. No, I also was rewatching Master of None recently. My wife hadn't seen it, so we were watching through that. Big Aziz Ansari fan. But in terms of Overwatch, we do have something new that is fresh and exciting and not a rewatch, and that is the 222 Rollock. Teoyama, give me your first opinions of seeing it in real life and not just theorizing about it on random podcasts.
All right, so I will say, first thought, as a Pharah main, my heart is broken, and I miss Pharah.
Okay.
I also miss Shanghai's triple DPS. But I do love the chaos that we're seeing right now and the return of people that we have not seen either playing their favorite hero or at all. You know, so I'm pretty into it, actually.
Okay, awesome. A. Smith, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm digging it. I mean, Haksal Genji, like, come on, guys. This is what we've been waiting since day one. Since when Haksal was in Apex popping off on Genji, we were waiting to see him compete against everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just as glorious as I remember it. And we're seeing new metas. I mean, the Ice Pick meta with Mei, and not Paris should not be running it because Shadowburn needs to play something he's good at.
You're good at the Mei, but all right.
Soon's really good at carrying that team, to be fair.
Yeah, okay.
I want to be able to. I want to be able to see Shadowburn Genji, Shadowburn Pharah, the things he's been known for.
Yeah.
I'll even take Shadowburn Hanzo.
Okay.
Let's do some of that. And this is going to be the time where we see coaches. We'll see coaches develop, hopefully in a perfectly balanced Overwatch, which could actually happen now that we have 222.
I doubt that, but okay.
Okay, it's more likely to happen now than something else because you're not going to have game-breaking metas where you have 5 tanks or something,
Sure, game breaking in that fashion, yes.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
I agree to a point. I just I don't think that it'll ever be perfect. I think that's a bit too far of a.
It's easier to see the coaching differences now that the positions are a little bit more locked in, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. I like it for the fact that I'm sick and tired of triple tank. When I saw it originally, when I saw the triple tank composition invented way back in the day, when Overwatch was not in beta, I guess, but after release, in Europe and stuff, I hated it. I hated it so much. I love seeing the DPS players pop off. I like the order and system of having a role lock. I think it's really cool. Allows players to defeat other players with their flexibility. You can be like, all right, well, I can play this better than you, and so I will beat you in that way. And I really enjoy that. So, big fan of the 222. I'm excited as a fantasy owner for it to kind of level out a little bit. I'm excited to see a meta develop, in which case we can see what players are going to do well or not so well in fantasy. And I'm excited for teams to decide who they're going to play. And in that case, we saw some terrifying things in terms of fantasy. We saw teams do just complete roster overhauls mid-match. We're going to talk about a few of those, so why you who are listening should be concerned about players you own if they're on this team. Teo, take it away with one of these teams that we are concerned to own.
All right. First, the most obvious, the Hangzhou Spark, where not a single player on their roster played 100% of their maps last week.
Yeah.
They're the new Seoul Dynasty, and they've gone even further. And yeah, it's just, it's hard to own any of their players, hard to trust any of their players in daily fantasy, especially when playing time is so important. And I think they will be going to a bunch of 5 maps, so maybe you'll get 4 maps out of your guy, or you'll get 2 or 3, because literally nobody is safe from being subbed out.
No.
Do you really think they're going to go to 5 maps?
Hey, I think they're going to start figuring it out. Maybe this week was their version of scrimming it out, but I think they're going to improve. They have talent on their team for sure. Bebe's a nasty Zen. Gushua is a nasty main tank. And I think Godsby's nasty too. But I think the DPS lineup needs to be figured out first, and then eventually they'll iron things out.
You mean Crystal coming back to America, saying, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll let these guys figure it out, and then I'll come back and be the superhero.
That's the least professional announcement I've ever seen in any kind of professional sport. Yeah, I don't understand that. Just they could have sent it to me, and I would have fixed that up in no time. And I would have done it for free too, just out of respect for Crystal and out of respect for the Overwatch League.
They threw him under the bus. But here's the thing:
man.
He's gonna return. And when he comes back and he pops off and they start winning, he's gonna be the hero. He's setting himself up for villain to hero status, that. He's gonna be I'm saving the Hangzhou Spark, and then he's gonna be beloved again.
Crystal is Batman
really
Beyond confirmed.
I think Overwatch needs to continue leaning into the whole WWE style
Just
vibe to it. The entrance songs, the super coming out with the belt.
Yeah.
And now Crystal's gonna have a heel to face turn. It's gonna be beautiful.
Oh, it's gonna be beautiful. He needs to come out and push somebody down a flight of down the main ramp. He just needs to push whoever Bozzy's in there, and he's get out of here.
We need to see a video needs to get leaked of him partying in China right now. And they're gonna be oh. That's what he's been doing this whole time.
He's got chicks on both arms. He's what's up, guys?
He's just there. He's rocking a PUBG shirt or something.
Hanging out with Undead.
It's whoa. Undead? What?
What's going on here?
There's some nefarious plots
in a
are
jacuzzi,
afoot.
with just party jacuzzi. With Undead and oh gosh, this is what we need. I'm glad you said this. This is exactly what we need in life.
Yeah.
The Smack Talk's already getting there. I mean, come on.
Man, can you imagine? I would be so excited for everyone to come out of the woodwork and start telling me that Overwatch League is not real. As if I were a true wrestling fan. It's not real though. I would.
And Nate Nanzer comes back from the backstage video, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, and then Sinatra 619s them off the stage. Everyone loses their mind.
Jumps off of the. Okay, we've gone too far.
Yeah. All right. All I know is I want a top rope to somehow be a part of.
I was gonna say.
I want a top rope to be a part of the Overwatch League stage, and I will pay good money to have it. A. Smith, tell me another team that you're terrified of, not because of their wrestling moves, but because of their rotating roster.
I'm gonna throw out the obvious one in San Francisco Shock. Their DPS, you don't know what's happening. Both of their MVP candidates are not starting, which is interesting. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thunk? maybe we released MVP a little too soon.
Oh yeah,
Who
I mean that was
knows?
talked about in other podcasts in our network, but holy crap, does the MVP thing suck?
Oh, it's
Well,
stupid.
Yeah,
It's
we
so
gotta move on.
silly.
Yep. Anyway,
Anyway, so you don't know what you're doing. Smurf, Super, you got Sinatra, Striker, Rascal, Architect. It's like this whole like smattering of
oh, it's bad news.
just good players. Who knows what to do with them because
Mhm.
they're just too. Maybe lend somebody to the Justice or something.
Maybe.
For the
Can we
Dallas
have players
Fuel.
go on loan? Oh God, please. Can we just I want Architect. That's who I want.
Or oh my god, I was thinking about it. Like if the Soul Dynasty got somebody like Striker, it would be a whole new world. Or Architect. Huh.
Freaking okay. Don't get me started, but freaking Rascal, like what the heck? We had the perfect player.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't
Why
understand.
did we destroy this? Like we could not figure it out, guys. Like get a coach who just nuts up and figures it out and gets the best out of a player
Yeah.
instead of just like, we can't deal with it, ship him off. Now we're
man.
screwed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wonder whose decision that is, but that is super interesting. It's so
Kind of.
funny about the shock because like this is the fear that we had at the start of the season about San
Yeah.
Francisco, and it didn't really happen. Like I mean, we learned within a couple of weeks. I was like, oh, okay, like that's their roster. They're not swapping that around. But now the stage 4 happens. Like, oh, okay, now these fears are rehashing themselves because they didn't sell their whole bench, which some teams ended up doing. In another life, I think I would have picked the Atlanta Reign for this spot, but I'm actually going to be choosing the Shanghai Dragons. I'm a little concerned about.
Okay.
Their
I'm not
DPS
on board
score
with that.
is strange. I mean, no Diem for a lot of the game. Did you see the
Yeah.
shot on broadcast when like they were in the stands watching? Like
Oh,
Diem,
yeah, that was
Gaguri,
very strange.
and like a few
Like-
players. I mean, I like whatever, like in terms of integrity and competitive, blah 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 blah, whatever. But I thought it was super funny, and like Uber was laughing. It's like, well, I guess they're not getting subbed in because, like, yeah, it was super funny to me. But like, I mean, Ding and
party
Late
you are?
and sorry, not Late Young. Who am I
Youngjin?
thinking of? Youngjin. Thank you.
Youngjin.
Youngjin were the like two mainstays. So just not having DM in there all the time, I'm a little concerned. I mean, just about like their and their support line, Izzyaki only playing like 1 or 2 maps, I think, in the entire.
No, he played the first stage or the
Okay.
first game,
Okay,
and
so
then
yeah,
pretty
first
much
game
he
and
played
then
the second
flip-flop.
game.
So having a flip flop in the support section also just scares me, especially in like the high scoring roles on a team, like when you have your flex support and your pit scan DPS. So that is my concern.
Gaguri in Envy. Is that a concern?
I mean,
I-
not when
I-
Gaguri's sitting in the stands and watching the game, I guess.
Yeah, she got one map.
She got one
Yeah.
map
Mm-hmm.
to appease the
I'm-
fans.
I am a little
Hey,
concerned
great.
though
Actually,
that
I think that's
they
fine.
will.
Like,
They definitely want to play Youngjin, so it's possible that they'll want to give him time on Roadhog. But Envy looked really good to me, and I'm
Yeah.
excited for Envy to be getting playing time.
yeah, it's also cool to see Envy being good. So I'm excited about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
that's
don't.
great.
Rip. Okay, Houston. Can we talk about Houston? Because that's a team that should have been
Oh
on
my
this list
God.
too.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Yes. What? I mean, they're.
I mean, Linkser. Who knows what they're doing there? Like
They need a
Linkser,
real
Flash.
flex support.
Hmm?
I mean, a real flex tank. Sorry. They
Oh,
need a real
Yeah, I mean,
Flex
flex
Raucus
tank.
did like
They're
somewhat
flex-
okay,
I know.
actually.
I'm very fine
honestly
with
think
Raucus. I like
Spree-
Raucus,
Mhm.
Oh, flex support. Yeah, Raucus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but for their
Flex
flex
tank?
tank, like
Spree's good. Spree plays a great Zarya. He has a average diva.
that's a thing. Like,
Like
Yeah.
he's got
what
a
about
great
his
Zarya.
Roadhog?
Did he even play Roadhog?
They got to put Jake on Roadhog and just let that be it.
Just-
That's all we need, and we need
Think so?
Linkser to
Okay.
start being consistent, okay? Because the Dinkser is he's a little on and off right now.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's like
Dante's
a,
great though.
yeah.
And if
Dante-
Sombra comes back, like he's gonna be a mainstay, and like I don't think Jake
There-
leaves either. So
There can be dive comps with Sombra.
oh yeah, I
Like-
mean
like-
Sombra
like
Doomfist is an incredible dive comp.
Yeah, and who's their Doomfist though?
Jake,
Is
for
Linkser?
sure.
Yeah.
Is it Jake?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I feel like Linkster would be
I'm
a
not
better
super
Doomfist.
confident.
I'm more
Well,
confident.
I'm gonna be honest
more
with
confident
you.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like Linkster's a better Genji and Doomfist, but
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
you know,
So
who am
yes,
I?
they're a concern.
They haven't played it.
Yeah. In the
But
end,
they've been a concern for stages now.
right.
It's
Exactly.
not just
Yeah.
because of 222.
Yeah.
That's fair, but now it's like accentuated because like these are like the locked positions, and it's still like they still don't
Mhm.
have an identity.
Yeah.
And you've gone through all this time. You should freaking figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is more of a concern in terms of like team talent and less in terms of fantasy ownership, which I think like
Mhm.
that
I mean-
in terms of fantasy ownership, like I probably haven't been wanting to own Houston players for a good long while now. Especially
Rockets
since
isn't
they
bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Especially since they beat the Gladiators, so I hate them forever. I cannot believe we lost that game. That was unreal. We like lost the first map, and I was like, all right, it's over. Like we could not come back. It was
That's
terrible.
great.
I hated it.
Give yourself to the darkness. Hate.
Hate Houston.
Hate
Yeah.
Houston.
My
wife's from Houston, so I can't.
Okay, that's fair.
say.
Shoot, yeah, that's worth the fight for sure. I like Houston to a point. Like I honestly, I feel like I started liking them because the whole stupid like bully Houston thing went like so far early this year, and I was like, why? This is just a dumb narrative that we're pushing, and it felt so weird.
WWE maybe.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, for that to be true, we needed their redemption arc. They need to, like, come out of a coffin in their most recent walkout.
Undertaker.
Like, yeah, exactly.
They need to play the Undertaker theme song the next time they come out.
I'm into
that's
it.
what I
That
want in
sounds
life.
great.
right.
They should really just be playing Old Town Road on their walkouts, but that's a whole nother question.
Yeah, just for the power up.
Mm.
For sake of time, why don't we just jump into our next section, our next talking point? Yes? I mean, we can talk about
Let's
like
do
other
it.
stuff like later
Sure.
on in like the matchups, but
Sure.
so leaders and feeders, I have some probably the least shocking news of all time to our listeners.
Shocking?
Stats are fudged. On high noon this week, only Chengdu and Philly have 2 games recorded, and there was many teams who played 2 games. So our leaders and feeders section is just kind of gonna be a general. Philly did do extremely well in terms of fantasy points, as did the Hunters. So that game scored well. In that case, they are going to be your leaders. In terms of
Chengdu.
feeders, what did you guys have? What do you think are some of feeders teams?
Just teams as a feeder.
Yeah, who didn't score
I
very
mean,
well? I feel like Boston didn't
Dallas,
score very
what?
well, but
I don't
I
know.
mean,
I mean, there's a
it's
lot
kind
of
of-
players.
Yeah, I would go over players instead of teams because like
Oh,
from
yes,
the
yes, yes,
teams
okay.
we're really just seeing people who went to map 5. You know, like both Philly and the Hunters, both the Fusion and the Hunters went to map 5 in both of their games last week, so they scored a ton of points. Everybody involved.
right.
Um,
Okay.
But then in terms of actual players, there were definitely some feeders, and that was mostly just because of the substitutes. You know, so we
Mhm.
saw some. Like the easy example would be Bebe on the Spark. Like
Mhm.
he was getting subbed out here and there over the past few stages, but in combination, like he got subbed out for what, half of the game last week, and we weren't really used to seeing that. And that suggests, as well as like their other major substitutions, that they're really pivoting towards that kind of Soul Dynasty mold where they're going to play a different lineup just willy-nilly, you
Mhm.
know. So
Willy-nilly.
he was a feeder last week, and that's concerning moving forward.
It's true. Yeah, I think Izuyaki and Luffy are kind of in the same spot. Izuyaki playing
Yeah.
one game, Luffy playing another. That's like a concern.
Yeah.
Tank line wise, I mean, Gushui coming out for no smite. I mean, Spark again a concern, but I think the real
Mhm.
concern one for me is Dako coming out for like FRD. Like the game, FRD does seem like
Forward
a
owner?
great diva and like a decent roadhog. I think Atlanta's just fielding the 2 to test them like as much as they can and see where
fair.
where are we strong in. And when teams are trying things, I don't want to earn them in terms of fantasy, and they're going to feed in terms of points. So
You
Dako
try that in
is
practice.
area.
You try it in practice. You
exactly.
don't try it in the game. Like this is how life works. Like
Yeah.
I'm a coach. I try things in practice. I throw out different lineups. But hey, when something works, you know, you stick with it. Whatever you see best in practice, you go with that. I don't
Mhm.
know why we're trying to just like I have so many issues with coaches here, but like, yeah,
Sure.
seriously, like Dako. I mean, but the other rumor is he's like locker room cancer, which is completely unconfirmed, but that's like the rumor going around. He and Aim God. So,
Yeah, I don't know.
you know, that's like where we're like, you know, who knows what's really happening here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, we've seen this before in previous stages. As soon as FRD or Ford or Fred or Fried or whatever he's going by. What are we just calling him FRD because that's lame?
You can call him
What
whatever you
you
want.
want to call him? Fred?
No, what do they call him?
I think FRD.
Don't they call him FRD?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be like it was Fried Wiener,
Yeah.
and then and then they like made him change it. So and then he like shortened it because then he just took the vowels out and it was like Fried Wiener without vowels.
It was Fried
Oh.
Winner.
Fried Fried Winner without
on
vowels.
broadcast, yeah.
Yeah, and then he changed it to just FRD.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, yeah, I like a lot of people were like Ford owner, just like random stuff. So it was fun, but yeah, him, and then DPS. I mean, Baby Bay Inlar, like that's out there.
Concern.
Like, what are we doing there?
Mhm.
Like that's
Yep.
interesting, because I mean, Inlar is good. Baby Bay's good in this situation. Like they're both not bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like hard finding their fit.
And it's an interesting question because, like, at the start of the season, Baby wasn't there, and Lair was brought on as their Widow specialist. Like, that is what he's gonna play. But I mean, when the meta, Baby was brought in because they needed someone to play Zarya for them. Baby Babe fit that role pretty well, but like now there's a Widow competition. Like, who's gonna land it? Also, Hanzo is like a pretty important role for any player to pick up right now. Like we've seen like both roles have to play the Hanzo. So
Yeah, which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess I get it, but it's gonna be very interesting because like the Mei Hanzo is something, and that's both projectiles. So,
yep.
but it can't be that much harder for a hit scan to deal with like Hanzo, right?
I don't know. They're good at video games. I'm not. The other
Prophet can do it.
Yeah,
I mean, Prophet can do whatever he wants.
the last DPS feeder that we have written down that I think is good to mention is Linkser. Man, yes, he's been getting subbed out. Apparently the Dante substitution was on accident or whatever.
And then he just owned it and like rolled with
exactly. But the
Yeah, I
problem
love that.
was that even before all this happened,
They have so many issues with that. This has happened before for Houston, hasn't
Yeah,
it? Like
yeah.
they have like, oh, we forgot to do our subs. It's like,
yeah.
get it together.
I mean, it's happened
Seriously.
twice, but yeah, I get you.
Hey, this
Like,
time it
shouldn't
worked
happen
out.
once.
Yeah, this happened. It did really well. But the problem, like besides all that, was that Linkser before this wasn't even looking that great. Always been kind of a man. I don't even want to call him a streaky player because like it seemed like 70% of the time he was doing extremely well. Like so, I don't know.
Counter Widow, like he
Yeah, a
seems to
duelist.
counter Widow
But
well,
Soon was dominating.
but he
it.
doesn't. Yeah,
But Soon was
But
also
like,
known as
Soon
an
was killing
extremely good
everybody.
duelist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Soon
it's-
was
it's
on a flipping rampage.
Yeah, it's
It just-
interesting.
It's a tough spot because Linkser is known for being, what is it, like the Finland's gift to esports.
Right.
He's
He is.
Dinkser, like his sniper is nasty,
Mhm.
but
The
and
chosen
Soon is
one.
known Soon is known for his tracer. So like if you are getting like manhandled by somebody who's initially known for their tracer, like that's an unideal situation to be in.
Yeah, but Soon like was really good on Widow last year. Like
yeah,
we can't
no,
discount
Soon
that.
is great. I'm just saying like it
Sure.
it was a lot more one-sided than it should have been.
But
Yeah.
Linkser was like originally budget Shiro 4. Like he was like because Linkser played Genji, he played he played some other characters, some like he played Projectile too. So
May, I think, was actually one that he was
Yeah.
kind of known to like
Yeah.
bust out and play
yeah,
really
he
well.
played,
But
he played May. So yeah, like he was like budget Shiro 4, budget Prophet, budget, Decay or whatever. Yeah, he's like budget like
Yeah.
ultimate flex characters, but Houston seems to trying to jam him into a role, and it's not really working well for them.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could actually just put all of the Houston PS in this category
Yeah,
because
that's true. Well, Jake-
we just don't know what they're going to do.
Jake doesn't hit scan.
Yeah, but Jake,
Except
like,
on
his
McCree,
playing time
when
is
he
gonna be
popped
weird.
off on McCree, though.
That's true.
Did you see that
Yeah.
game? Like, he was actually doing extremely well.
Yeah, who knows?
So I don't know. I think Houston being an emotional team, or at least that's how they're showcased. I think you just got to go with who's going to lead a team better than who's going to perform maybe 10% better on that given day. But that's just my 2 cents. So we're going to be switching out of our highnoon.gg minds and jumping into our fantasyowl.com minds because this last week was our first week of the Foul Play 50. Our featured daily league that happens Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For those of you who joined, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. I didn't do extremely well, but I will be doing much better next week now that I've kind of learned this format a little bit better. I feel like I'm going to have contention. So our game is featured on Friday. It is now known as Foul Play Fridays. Make sure you use that hashtag on Twitter. And yeah, if you ever tweet about us, do that. Make sure you're entering the Foul Play Friday or the Foul Play 50 on Friday.
We'll try to tweet it out too.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. We'll do some more promo on that on Twitter. So we are going to just give a quick shout out to all the people who won the Foul Play 50 for the whole week. So on Thursday, our very own Teo Yama took home the lead. Thank goodness.
Flex on those nerds.
Yeah, thank goodness one of our hosts actually won.
Let's go.
Congrats. That was pretty awesome. On Friday, our Foul Play Friday game, which we are going to go into a little bit more in depth. By the way, that's kind of how our show format is going to function moving forward, is we are going to give a shout out to the winners of across the whole week, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth onto the winning Foul Play Friday lineup. So, but on Friday, Borlebeke? Question mark?
You know, make your name a little easier. Borlebeke.
Borlebeke won with 920.34. A really awesome win. Congrats to you on winning the Foul Play Friday. On Saturday,
dominated.
Yeah, Saturday
Yeah,
nobody.
a lot of points.
Yeah, Saturday nobody won. I don't know. The stats didn't show up. It's invisible. I don't know what's going on. That is a lie. Ramses from OWL by the Numbers took home our featured league on Saturday. Congratulations to you.
Me and Teo didn't enter, to be fair.
And I did bad. So
and he popped 2 teams. So
that's true.
we will give you a.
I will give him props. I will give him props.
You know what? We will give you props, but in a way that you will never win.
Won't happen again.
Yeah, and you come back on our turf, and we'll show you what's what.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna beat them on their league
yeah,
now.
the war
I'm
story.
thinking about
We're
it.
moving over there.
Thinking about it. we're gonna take. I'm gonna take my talents over there and kick their butt and take it back.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm bringing a pitchfork on, and of course the last day of the Overwatch League schedule is Sunday, and thus is our Foul Play 50. Congratulations to Zentania winning that one in a. I don't think that one was actually particularly close, if I can remember correctly. I believe that one was like he kind of won in a landslide. But so congratulations to everybody who participated. It was a lot of fun. I'm excited for this to continue, and we will see you guys next week. But now we have to discuss the Foul Play Friday winner and kind of the keys to victory. So, Teo, why don't you, I don't know, talk to me about why you won. This is Borlebeke, by the way. Borlebeke's team.
Yeah, good old Borlebeke popped off. He had a nasty DPS duo with Carpe and Prophet. Carpe had 170 points with the map 5. And, he kind of suffered a little bit with Violet and Choyobin, who didn't get a ton of points.
Mm-hmm.
But Boombox had 157 in his map 5, and then Elsa just kind of carried his whole team by putting up 230 points.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Elsa was a linchpin. That was a necessary play. So
let me count how many people he had who went to map 5. It's Carpe, Elsa, and Boombox. So he had 3 people go to map 5, and that'll definitely help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did check. He won by like roughly 20 points. So it wasn't as far and away as I thought it was originally, but still a great win.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, and he won 435 coins to use in the competitive games on the website. So congratulations, by the way.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to be jumping into our next section of the podcast in the Who Do I Start? I will go off and list of the teams that play twice, the teams that play once, and the teams that play none at all. The teams that play twice will be your Paris Eternal, the New York Excelsior, the Guangzhou Charge, Florida Mayhem, Atlanta Reign, Philadelphia Fusion, Washington Justice, Toronto Defiant, Houston Outlaws, Los Angeles Valiant, Los Angeles Gladiators, London Spitfire, and the Chengdu Hunters. Teams that only play once will be the Shanghai Dragons, the Seoul Dynasty, the Hangzhou Spark, the Dallas Fuel, San Francisco Shock, and the Vancouver Titans, and the Boston Uprising have a bye week. So, as always, we want to talk about our potential 5 mappers because no matter what the game does to change their format, that will always give you the best fantasy score is if your team goes to 5. So,
Facts.
A. Smith, talk to me about one of these matches that is going to be a potential 5th map, and you want to be playing those players above anybody else.
All right, I'll kick it off with the Charge and the Spitfire. That is an easy one to see going to 5.
Okay.
They're both upper echelon teams. Yes, Charge is now an upper echelon team. Happy is doing his thing, and he is super happy. And Nero looks really good.
Yeah, he's always looked good. I'm so glad he finally ate of age.
But
like, great.
But like now he's doing, the things that he can do,
Mm-hmm.
which is, projectile. Like his projectiles are dope.
Yeah.
Like he might have one of the best maze that I saw.
Yeah.
This week, I think he probably was up there in top 3 maze this week.
Probably the best junk in the league too.
Fair.
He's playing like it right now.
Yeah, I mean,
also,
Jake Rag can kiss that bye.
A team is playing well when they can sub Fraggy in after 200 days without Fraggy playing a single game.
Oh yeah.
They sub him in and they sub Bishu. Yeah, they won easy.
That was the best. Gosho Charge. I think they completely understand what they're doing in terms of fan base, and they just won themselves enormous Western fan base.
The tweets about it too were great. They were like, "Guess who we're about to free?" It was like,
they're like, they're
winning.
They know how to make money, and they're doing it well in terms
everything. But the Gatorade logo is great.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't actually like their colors either. The colors are kind of meh.
I dig it.
I like them better than some.
I like both of those colors. They just don't contrast very well.
Yeah, they don't.
They're
mix.
cool colors.
Yeah.
I want to see some purple and gold, but that's just my inner Tigers.
I can see that.
I dig that.
Could be a Chicago team. Anyways, Teoyama, what would you what would be map 5 game that you're looking forward to?
I'm gonna take the Hunters against the Excelsior.
Okay.
I think
that's like a hot take though. I want you to recognize that.
Oh yeah,
that is a
that's
hot
why
take.
that's why I'm gonna get into it. So I actually think both NYXL and the Hunters, I think both of their games this week are liable to go to map 5, and I think that's because right now the meta is in this weird state of flux where we're not really sure what's going on, and neither of those teams know what they're doing either. So one with NYXL, they got smoked by the Gladiators last week, and then the Gladiators got smoked by the Outlaws. If that doesn't convince me that NYXL is a mid-tier team that needs to prove themselves, then I don't know what could. I think they're going to mess around with their DPS lineups a ton this week. And so we'll have to see what happens there.
Please pay Pine.
I think it is time for Pine to play. I mean, Nene is a great Widowmaker, and I think, he's a really talented player, but they need to figure something out. And, after that, fail, I really thought last week was going to be a big week for them after they were forced off of that stupid GOATs in the stage playoffs. That was really the most heartbreaking thing to watch as a fan.
So bad.
But just stop doing it. But either way, now they have stopped doing it and they haven't started winning. So, other teams have kind of figured out that all you have to do is focus down Mono and Jonak, and then NYXL crumbles because their DPS don't have carry potential right now. On the other hand, the Hunters are Jinmu has just proven that he's a great DPS, and they also have a weird DPS lineup where if they want to run the Widowmaker, they have to play Bacon Jack, and Bacon Jack is a nasty Widow. He really popped off last week.
Yang Shalong played Widow too.
Yeah, and Yang Shalong is pretty good, but like Bacon Jack was the one who, when I was watching, like he just felt like he was carrying maps by himself, and so they're in a weird situation as well, where like that DPS rotation is interesting. And then obviously like Ameng is going to want to play ball. So I think with the Hunters, they're probably going to see more map fives than most other teams, except for maybe the Fusion, just because their roster is kind of chaotic. Their play style is chaotic. And I think that fits really well for what NYXL is going to have to do this week, which is kind of embrace the chaos and start messing around with their lineup, because obviously it hasn't been working the past like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's weird that we're seeing like miraculous youngsters actually, like, you know, half of the miraculous youngsters team is on Chengdu and they're not playing.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird?
Bygone era.
That is a little strange.
Yeah. So
anyways. Yeah, I think that map has a lot of map 5 potential. I mean, I think that game has a lot of map 5 potential, and honestly, I think the Excelsior game against the Eternal does as well, because really, like, NYXL is they have the talent to be a top tier team, but right now they're playing like they're below middle, so we're just gonna have to see them return to dominance, and I have to see it before I believe it.
Like,
but I could see it going to 5, because
unless Soon just goes off, I just can't see them losing.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure that the chemistry is there between Libero and Nene to carry games.
That's why you want freaking Libero Pine. That Libero Pine is a great or freaking, like, I think Libero Pine, or you could even throw freaking Flower would be fine.
Yeah,
or,
I mean, that's what we need to see. Like, Flower and Libero are the rotation there, and then Nene, Pine, and SBB are the other rotation. Yeah. But SBB hasn't shown that he can play anything but Tracer and Sombra at that high of a level. Nene hasn't shown that he can play anything other than Widow and Zarya at that high of a level. And Flower hasn't shown anything yet, and Libero's looked a little shaky regardless. So they're in a really weird spot. All of those players are super talented, but we have to see what's up.
It's crazy that they had like this massive bidding war type deal for Flower and then nothing.
Yeah,
like just never see him.
I mean, he had like wrist problems here and there, so like maybe that affected him. And he's still young, but yeah, we'll just have to see. Hopefully, like he can. Because I mean, he is the perfect player for this meta. Everybody remembers that World Cup where he popped off on Widow, Pharah, Hanzo. Like, he was just so nasty. So
no one can think of a good performance from him since.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's fair. Did you want to talk about the other Hunters game? You said that one had a potential too.
Oh, yeah, I'll just gloss over that one. The other Hunters game is the Gladiators, and I think just like these, the Excelsior and showed, like, the Gladiators are also in a bit of a chaotic spot right now, where how do you 3-1 the Excelsior and then get 1-3'd by the Outlaws? So
all one tricking it though, aren't they?
Yeah, that I just think the Gladiators are playing kind of like, they're that performance was super inconsistent, and I think that they obviously have a ton of talent too. I think Decay is one of the nastiest DPS right now. Void is a great off tank, and Shaz is a crazy flex support. But that inconsistency in performance kind of matches really well with the Hunters' chaos, as I've mentioned. So I think that has a ton of map 5 potential as well.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think it's the easiest 4-0 of the Gladiators' life, but I mean, that's a little bit of a homer selection.
Yeah,
do the Hunters ever get 4-0'd?
I don't even
like,
think
seriously,
so.
I don't think
so
they get
weird.
Yeah, it's true. I do think Gladiators are. I don't know. I think Roar's always been like the weakest link on that team's lineup. I think, especially his Orisa, I think it's like a bit of a concern, but we'll see if it can work out or not. I don't know. But for my potential 5 map, I think I'm going to choose the Valiant versus the Dynasty game. I think this one can be competitive. However, I'm not playing Soul players if I'm doing this one for fantasy. I would choose Valiant players because I think that Soul just has enough talent to force this one to 5. I don't think they have enough talent to win. But in that case, I think Valiant players are going to pick up a decent amount of points.
Which Valiant DPS do you play? Because they all 3 kind of rotated.
Yeah, jeez. I think KSF.
I think
Oh,
the
man.
only Valiant players you can play are Kareev and Space right now. And
Well, I mean, Fact, I guess, is the main tank, so you can't.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in playing him. And then for the Dynasty, like enough is enough. They really need to just stop subbing Fleta out, and they need to let the other
True.
two. They need to let the other two, who is it? It's Fitz and Illicit.
Yeah.
I'm really not impressed with either of them.
Yeah.
But like I just don't. They've tried how many DPS in that exact the spot opposite Fleta, like Munchkin, Bunny, Wakid, Fitz,
Oh,
Illicit.
man, I
Like
forgot
they,
Wakid.
it's such a revolving door,
Right.
and like they really just need to get that figured out.
Yep.
I'm not even upset with the highly Ryu Hong substitutions. Like I think they're both really talented players, so I get that from like a winning perspective. They're fine, but
Mhm.
I don't think the Illicit Fits situation, and they should pretty much never be subbing Fleta out.
Yeah.
Feel
Agreed.
you. I feel you.
Okay, well, so that'll do it for our potential 5-mappers section of the show. We always.
Did you read off all of them?
I think there was
Playing
one.
twice.
I think there was one we missed. That was a potential.
No. I was talking about the whole teams. Did you read off?
Yeah, I
who's
read
playing-
everybody who played twice and everybody who played once. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a pretty forgetful segment, but
It is.
I'll try
Don't
to
play Boston.
Yeah, I'll try to spice it up next time. I'll
I
spice
want.
it
I
up just
want.
for you.
I want sultry tones for
Oh,
you.
okay, well, you should be looking forward to next week. Okay, so speaking of upcoming potential oofs,
Yeah.
we have a few games that every week we try to say, maybe avoid these players for fantasy. These games are going to be blowouts. These games are going to be garbage time. This week we have Justice versus Titans, Mayhem versus the Spitfire, Defiant versus the Dragons. I just named 3 very bad teams, and I named 3 very good teams. You guys do the math. All right, so my personal favorite segment of our wonderful Foul Play show is the Sleepers segment. So we're going to go over our sleepers for the upcoming week, and this week we are changing our format slightly. So due to the emergence of daily fantasy games on Fantasy Owl and their popularity, that's what we're going to be using for the sleepers
And the fact
section.
that they're working.
And the fact that they're working. I didn't want to mention it because I kind of like other people, but it's the
I
fact
do.
that they're working. We are going to be using a more precise system for the sleepers area, which I'm really excited about. We are saying if the player salary is 13 or lower, they are considered a sleeper. So that is now the format. So it won't just be like pick who you think main support is going to do the best this week, because I feel like that is like the rhythm we got stuck in, and that's kind of lame. You're never going to want to play a main support anyways. Doesn't really work out that well. So this gives us a little bit more of a chance to play roles that will still score good points but are on a budget. So really excited about that. Teo, you won the sleeper contest last week by picking Coma as your support sleeper.
Actually,
I didn't
we
even know
don't.
we checked.
Oh, did we not check?
The
Then I
stats
won
are
all
actually
3
not
rounds.
there. Stats are not there.
Yeah, I won all 3 rounds because Persia played, which is neat, but I don't think he did that well. Anyway, Teo, you're up first on this piece of paper.
Did you
I'm
watch the
looking at.
games? He didn't play well.
He played instead of God.
So mine is gonna be Neko, the flex support for the Defiant. He played all of their maps, and he only cost 13. And this week they play. There's one map in particular that I'm excited for. Excited about. Oh, one game. Sorry.
Shanghai or Philly?
Maybe I'm not that excited about it actually, but yeah,
I
Philly.
want the excited.
Regardless, like he's a flex support who's playing 100% of his maps, and he's pretty cheap. So
There you go.
hey,
Okay.
that counts
Yeah.
for something.
You don't
know?
need more justification
Just
than
went
that.
from like super excited to like
Yeah,
oh.
to being a little unsure.
right,
No,
listen,
but I
I'm
do
missing
think
these
I do
notes.
think he's a talented player. I'm not super thrilled with the Shanghai matchup, but on Sunday I think he's a great value because Philly is also a very inconsistent team. So I think Toronto can make that competitive.
Yeah, I would say so.
There you go.
Cool. My selection is another 13 salary, so at the top of the sleeper threshold. But I am choosing Guido of Washington Justice. He played over Sleepy this last week, and Justice is playing the Titans, so Gonna be a tough one, but they're also playing Florida. So we have garbage time of the game, and I think that Guido could pick up a decent amount of points in that game. So Guido is gonna be my support sleeper.
I like
Okay.
that pick.
Thank
All
you.
The
right,
only
fair enough.
concern there is that Sleepy gets subbed back in because coaches are weird. But
Yeah, that
he should
sucked
put up
for sure.
He should put up a lot of points.
I mean, I
It
think they
is.
should if Washington wants to succeed, but I'm gonna pick Guido as my choice for this game we're playing.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm going to take Byram.
Byram, yep.
He's only 10 points this time, so it's if you want to like stack stack your high players and then use your bottom tier for Byram, it could be good. He played over Hagopen. Florida's playing Washington, so the two bottom teams on the league right now. I mean, technically Washington's probably not as bad, but if Byram's playing, I think you get a high chance of them actually scoring a lot of points. So I'm digging it. I'm on board for this Byram thing. He didn't look bad.
Okay.
Granted, Hago didn't look bad either, so
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, oh well. Hopefully it works out for you. All right, A Smith, what is your tank pick? We got you going back to back here.
Okay, back to back. My tank pick is going to be Mono. He actually cost 13, so he is on the very top end there.
Amazing. It costs 13. Wow.
I know he's going to play 100% of the time, which is something that's a little worrisome in some of these tanks on the bottom tier. So, you know for sure he's going to play. You know he's going to play well. If the team actually plays well, it could be interesting.
Yep.
NYXL is playing 2 games that
Teo Yaba is just
close
scorned
with
Like,
Paris and Chengdu.
it's just hurt.
So yeah, with Paris and Chengdu, those both have Game 5 potential there at 13. I think he's going to be a steal.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Good pick.
My next one follows up pretty comfortably from that, and that's Meko. I actually think this is the steal of the entire week. Like Meko only costs 9 points or 9 levels, however it's described on Fantasy Owl. And he's a flex tank. I think that might be skewed by the fact that he wasn't playing as much last stage. But either way, like he's such a deal, and they're
he was
probably
worth more last week.
Oh, was he?
I picked him up in
Weird
one of my
then.
deals.
I guess it's just because they got smoked by the Gladiators, but I think both of these teams that they're playing this week are,
hang on, I'm gonna pull it up.
the games should be much more competitive than they were against the Gladiators, and I'm expecting Meko to get back, and at that price, like you can really afford to go big at another position, and by having him on the cheap.
Yeah, he only put up 97.8 points last week, which is by far lower than even the main tanks. I mean, he scored pretty low.
Yeah,
so
fed his brains out.
If you're
but
actually
that could
looking
be good
at
this
it,
week.
so yeah, I mean, it's possible. He stunk it up last week. So
It's true. Well, I'm picking someone who did even worse than Meko last week. I am choosing Cool Matt. I think Houston's got the hot hand. I think they're coming out of nowhere. I think they're on the upswing, and I hope that Cool Matt plays all his maps. And if he does, you're going to score well. And he's only worth 8, so he's the cheapest person on this entire sleeper segment. So I think I win for that alone. Okay, so the DPS, I chose Striker last week, which I think paid off pretty well. Not as well as A Smith's pick from last week, but I am choosing Ivy as my sleeper for the Toronto Defiant. Toronto's not good, but I think that Ivy should be a mainstay. I really do think him and Logix together would make a great DPS pair for the Toronto Defiant. He is 12 on fantasyowl.com. If he pops off really well. He's not playing the Widow for them because that'll be Logic's position, but he should be playing everything else, which should net use a decent amount of fantasy points.
fair enough.
Checks out.
I'll buy it. I don't like their competition this week, but hey,
I'm
going to take Hureg at 12.
That's actually such a good pick. That's such a good pick.
last week I was like railing that it was going to be Stitch. Stitch is the better hit scan player. Honestly, I completely forgot Hureg was on the team.
And he looked so
like,
good. It was
I
great.
had no idea he was on the team. Like I was like, oh yeah, they have Hureg.
Uh-huh.
Who remembers that guy? And then
Right.
like
Yeah,
freaking
no one.
popped off. Look, they're playing Washington. They're only playing one game. It is in our potential oofs, but I mean, if we're being honest, Washington looks a lot better, and I would love to freaking see Corey versus Hureg in a Widow duel. If it seems like Hureg's their guy because they stuck with him all 4 maps, they didn't even flip switch Stitch in, so it could be very interesting if Hureg plays. Now they could just like, oh screw it, we're gonna do something entirely different. We're gonna have Stitch run McCree and Sombra. And then boom, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
And mine is the mirror to that Widow duel you're hoping for, and that's Corey. I'm not playing Corey against the Titans because I think the Justice are going to get smoked, but I'm definitely playing him on Thursday against the Mayhem. I think that's going to be a really fun duel. Honestly, like
13,
Corey and Saya
on
player
that
are
day.
both great deals on Thursday. And they allow you to stack up your tanks and your healers with nasty players. And I think that game has map 5 potential as well. So, Corey, like last week, he looked incredible.
He didn't actually put up a lot of points last week, to be fair.
But
he only put up 96.
Yeah, that's valid, but he looked really good. And I think, he passed the eye test and he's playing 100% of the map. So if you think he has a chance to play in a more competitive game, then he could do really well for your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Corey is an awesome pick. It's fun that he is going up against Saya player. I think that'll be a really
I'm really excited for that.
Corey versus Saya in the battle of the bottom
Yeah.
is just going to be so fun.
It'll be the only good thing to watch about that entire game. But I think Corey is a good pick if for nothing
Corey's
else
the
that
next
he
great
won't be
US
coming out. Like he won't be being taken out of his position, which is nice to know.
Yeah.
Also, I think something that we could mention is that like Sansam will not be leaving because Elivote and Lulsish were announced to have visa issues.
Gonzo?
And will not
is that what happened?
Yeah, so they won't be here for the
they
whole
don't have
stage.
Hey, and shout out to Sansam though. He looked quite good.
He looked pretty okay. Yeah.
He looked way better than previous stages.
How did Janice look though? That's the real question.
Always bad. Always.
Yeah.
Always bad.
Always bad.
Just Janice is like the Sato. Like Janice and Sato, it's like, why are y'all both still playing?
Oh, man.
But Janice is like the PMA version who's like really sweet seeming, like I've talked to him about anime before on like those NYXL AMAs. I don't know. It's got to be pretty decent.
You sure? Have you met? You haven't met him?
No. It was like they do like the NYXL AMAs back in the day where like you can just ask stuff. And I remember like I asked something about like Hunter x Hunter, the anime, and like he responded saying like his favorite players and stuff. So either they had a translator on hand or it was simple enough that he was just like, oh,
had a translator.
Yeah, I actually his English is notably really good. Like in terms of interviews and stuff, like he particularly is very good in English. Yeah, so that wraps up all of the planned segments we have for the show. Guys, I hope you're enjoying watching Overwatch League again. I hope you got reinvigorated by this and maybe by FantasyOwl.com. I know my fantasy spark has been kind of relit, and I'm very excited about that. So congratulations to our winners of the Foul Play 50 for this last week. Please enter again this upcoming week. You'll get your name shouted out, and if you win the Friday contest, of course, we will go into your team and praise your team construction and kind of explain how you won. So thank you so much for that. We will see you next time on Foul Play. I have been HeebieGB. I have been joined yet again by A. Smith and Teoyama. Hope the RNG
follow
works.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter is a big one.
Yeah, and hit us up on Twitter if you have questions.
Yeah, we're actually gonna post.
Teoyama. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, of course. We will actually promote our show for once in our lives. That'll be awesome. So thank you so much for listening, and hopefully your DPS players don't get subbed out. Goodbye.
Adios.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Katniss Everdeen.